Hey everyone. So I know it's been a while, and I've tried so many times to try to make this video, and each time something has gone wrong with the outcome of the video. So right now I'm using my desktop instead of my laptop, which is normally where I do my blog. That's why I'm always sitting in front of the couch. Portability. But today I'm stuck in my sister's room. So I guess I might as well start from the beginning. On Labor Day, it was what was it, Monday? A couple weeks back, I was working, and basically it's like any holiday because it's packed, people are always there, and of course there's always a manager who's trying to push you as fast as possible to get the line down so you can bring up more customers and bring in more money. On that specific day, I wasn't really feeling that well because of outside stress. You know, they say to leave it at home, leave work and home separate. Well, I couldn't really do that because I was stressed by so many other things. So I was somewhat depressed and I didn't really want to be there, but well, I had to work. So as I continued ringing up and ringing up, the day slowly ended, thank God, and I'm ready to count out, and I am ready to go home because I have a barbecue to go to. And I'm definitely looking forward to that. And basically, I have to do a lot of different things. I have to count the receipts, I have to separate them by what they are, and then I have to count the cash and the money and make change for the bag that every person starts out with the next day. And then I have to have someone certify me, which we do every single day, which is probably why it takes so long for me to get out. But on this certain day, we have a supervisor who always checks the totals to make sure that everything's balanced. And it turns out that the supervisor who was checking mine came back and told me that I was short by $100. Now, you know, after feeling somewhat bad, kind of sad, depressed, and not really wanting to be there, that just made me feel dandy. So what they usually do is they have the person who certified me double check and make sure that everything's correct there, which it was. And then the supervisor goes ahead and double checks to make sure if the certifier made any mistakes, which he did not. And our guess was it was in the cash pool. Cash pools happen when you have too much money in your till and they come to relieve you of some of it. Sometimes, because we double check, we count our cash, we double check, and we tell them how much we have, and they double check and count, and then they relieve us of that amount. But it's happened where sometimes supervisors will miscount, and we won't catch it either. And that's what we think happened. So by protocol, the supervisor called security, which is known as loss prevention, and they just let them know, hey, there's a cashier who's short 100, and they just basically they'll check the cameras for the entire day to see what really happened or took place. So after that, the supervisor just said, okay, you can go. I'm like, okay, fine. And as I was going out of the customer service, one of the cashiers just saw that sad, long look on my face, and that's what happened. And I kind of explained it. I paraphrased it as fast as possible. And as I was explaining it to her, Captain Douchebag, is who I like to refer him as, comes by. He's the customer service manager, and he just stands there waiting for me to finish talking with this person, which I think is a little rude, me personally. So I see him there. I don't really look at him, but I see him. And so I finish up my conversation. I'm like, okay, well, I'll see you later. And I just go on getting to walk out. And he stopped me and he goes, so Richard, I hear you're over $100 short. I'm like, yeah, short. He's like, so what happened? We don't know what happened. What do you think happened? I'm like, I don't know. How do you don't know? How do you not know? How do you lose $100? Tell us, because we don't know. as you can see, he's a douchebag. That's how he is. And so I proceeded to tell him that's probably in the cash pools, and he says, "Well, you check the cash pools, right? I mean, you check them. You don't just count the money, do you?" I'm like, "No, I count them and I double check." And then the supervisor double checks. "But you check them first, right? You want to make sure they're correct, right?" So as you can see, it was a fun conversation. At the end, I just said, "You know what? I have to go." And he asked me if Lost Revenge already spoke with me, and I said, "You know what? No, but the supervisor already called and they said I could leave." So I just went ahead and walked out and clocked out and went home. As you can see, I did not really want to go to a barbecue because everyone's going to be happy, cheerful, and all that stuff, and I want to be left alone. I really did. But when you get there, you have to put on that happy face and try to go with the flow and try to release of all that stress and pressure and ideas of what might happen the next day. And that's what I did. I did my best. Uh, and then the next day comes and I show up to work. I'm nervous, stressed, and still somewhat depressed just from everything else that was taking place. And uh, I was talking to some of my friends, some of my associates, because they kind of already knew because words travel fast there. So I was just talking with them, asking, "Well, what do you think will happen?" People were saying, "Well, I was struck before and I only got a 3-day and blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Okay, so it's not that bad. That's fine." I actually couldn't ring up that day. I was not allowed to get it until they figured out what happened. And since we thought it was in the cash pool, we had to wait for audit to finish counting all of the cashier's money, which is what they do every day. But we're waiting specifically to see if someone messed up on the cash pool, because that would absolve me automatically, which would be nice. So I wouldn't actually find out until after lunch. So for lunch, I went out with one of my friends, Eddie, aka DJ Faze, and Winter Girls Jr. just kicked in. This is one of the things we talked about, just being short and what that could mean. And so he said, well, if you're short and if they do get rid of you, well, you know what? I think you still have the opportunity to find a better job. And that's one thing is because I've always been complaining about the place I work at for quite a while now. Even probably since 6 months ago, maybe 7 or 8. Yeah, maybe even since December or Black Friday. Yikes. So yeah, this is what we came to a conclusion of that. Yeah, regardless what happens, things will probably work out for the better. If they give me a 3-day, then hey, I'm just suspended for 3 days and I'm good. So yeah, so I felt better coming back from lunch, and I was talking to a supervisor named Edgar, who's just a really awesome person overall, and he said that they didn't find it in the cash pool. I don't know where it could be. So for the rest of the day, I was just doing certain things, safety sweep, trash, checking restrooms, just in case you're wondering who cleans up the messes in Fry's Electronics in the bathrooms. We do, cashier. So if you wonder why the line's so long, it's probably because someone left the restroom a mess. If you wonder why the line's so long and you're one of those people who just throws your carts wherever you think outside in the parking lot, think someone's going to pick it up, yeah, a lot of cashiers do. So don't complain about the line being long if you're the one doing that. So around 2:30 is when I get out on that day, Tuesday. And I was vanning because I couldn't do anything else. And one of the supervisors brings up another employee to come replace me. I've never seen this employee before. I think they're from returns or receiving somewhere. And as I start walking back to behind the registers, Heather, who is the hiring manager, also a supervisor of customer service, sees a long look on my face because I've been wearing it all day, and she asks me if anything's wrong. And that's where I proceed to explain the predicament that I found myself in. And Then I tell her that chances are Captain Douchebag is going to want to talk with me because they always have to have that talk. All managers do when something like this takes place. And the thing is, I can't really stand him. That's why I call him Captain Douchebag. And so I have the right to request a supervisor to join me, to be in there. So I requested her because amazingly, she was the one who actually hired me. When I first started back in '07, uh, she hired me, and then she later on went to a different position, and then later on this past year came back as a hiring manager. Nice little coincidence there. So Captain Douchebag asked me to follow him into the manager's office, the store manager's office. And so I follow, but not too closely. I'm just taking my time, walking more with Heather than anyone else. And then he keeps looking back at me. He's like, "Come on, hurry up." He's like, "Are you coming?" I'm like, "I'm." I say this in my mind. I'm like, "I'm following you. Where do you think I'm going?" But as we get closer to the office, I just tears start coming down my eyes, and Heather just says, "Take deep breaths," and just try to let it all out, stay in control. I try, but it's difficult. So I finally get to the manager's office, and he's sitting like right in front where the store manager would be. He's sitting in his desk, and to the left of me is the assistant store manager. Of course, he's not there. This other guy named Drew is there, and he works for loss prevention. Didn't matter, but that position, that table will come in later, that desk. So he sits down, and I told him I requested Heather to stay next to me as well. And he's like, okay, that's fine, that's fine. And so he goes ahead and he proceeds to tell me, he's like, so I need you to fill out a statement, Richard. Just go ahead and write down and put what you think happened. We need a statement from you because we don't know where the money is. And he proceeds to kind of say the same thing over and over again, trying to slightly rephrase his words. I don't know why, but he rephrased it like 3 times without stopping, which is something he does a lot. It's very annoying. So I go ahead and I start writing down a little bit because I don't know what the heck happened to it. And then he gives me these pages which have all of my transactions for that day. And so I start looking over it. I'm like, well, there's nothing useful here. And I'm like, okay. And I have Heather look over it. And then she went ahead and pointed out to certain transactions where the customer actually gave me the $100. Because one thing we know is I couldn't have given it away. Because the largest thing I gave back to a customer was less than $30 throughout the whole day. So I know I didn't give it away. So as she continues to go through it, he goes ahead and says, Richard, I'm going to be honest with you. We're going to go ahead and give you a 5-day, and then it'll be up to our home office to see if we keep you or not. Yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks for telling me. And so I have to sign this paper which confirms I'm being suspended for 5 days. And what 5-day means is basically it's a synonym for termination. That's exactly what it means. No one comes back from a 5-day. So I'm feeling especially awesome right there. Anyway, as Heather continues looking over this, she mentions, she asked me if there were any transactions that were a little odd. And I'm like, no, not at all. And she asked me if I had a mixed media transaction. I'm like, what's that? And so she went ahead and told me that a mixed media transaction is when you pay for a product, but you split up the payments. So let's say someone's buying a 360 and they only have $40. Well, they can't pay by cash entirely, but they want to use that 40. So it's 40 on this. Let's use my credit card for some of this, and let's use the rest with this gift certificate. That's mixed media. And I do recall one, and amazingly, that one had $100. So Heather goes ahead and she gets up. She says she'll be right back because when she asked me about this mixed media one, we couldn't actually find it, but I remembered it. So she went ahead and went back to audit because they could locate like that, which is nice. And so while I was in there, I went ahead and started writing that because that made sense. Because right after that transaction, or around there, is when I got my cash pull, and that's when one of the supervisors asked me for too much money, and it seemed kind of odd. Why would they ask me for so much if I didn't have that much? And so I figured that was the best one. And one thing that Heather was telling me is that when mixed media transactions take place, they can be kind of tricky. Not because of how you go about it, but because things can happen that take your mind off of that. And she asked me if I was ever certifying anyone. And I said, yeah, a cashier right next to me. Cashiers are grouped in twos. Computers are right next to each other. And I was always certifying this person. And Heather said, well, sometimes customers can do tricky things. And we came to the conclusion that perhaps when I went to certify, the person gave me the money, I put it right in front of me. Cashier, the employees, the customer is usually adjacent to me, so it's more of diagonal. They're here, and I'm in front of my computer right here. So when I take money, I put it right in front of me right here. When I go and certify, I do this really quick, and I go back here. Doesn't take that long to certify, a couple of seconds. So she implied that perhaps something took place there, where a customer may have snagged it back. And so, you know what? That sounded like a very, very good uh, reason, or not reason, but it sounded like that could have happened. Very plausible. So I went ahead and folded up my first statement and started writing that instead. And then Heather, after she came back and circled in, we figured this all out. She said she would be back again. She left. And I continued writing that statement and putting every little detail of what I think probably took place, because that made sense. Opposed to, I don't know where it is, and then this one is, well, this is most likely. Because we know that it took place before this, and this is the only transaction that had this $100 in it during this small period of time. Well, it had to be that. So yeah, I continue writing, and then I paused for a moment because I was still gathering my thoughts. Of course, Captain Douchebag in front of me, he looks at me, he's like, oh, you're all done? I'm like, no, I'm waiting for Heather. He's like, oh, so you're done then? I'm like, no, I'm waiting for Heather. I don't know, he didn't hear me the first time within the first few seconds when he asked me that question, if I was done. And then repeated to ask me again, or stay, oh, so you are done. Oh, me waiting for Heather, that means I'm done, yes, of course, sure, that's exactly what it means. So, anyway, I continue to write a little bit more in the statement. Um, the store manager comes in, and so Captain Douchebag trades places with him. And so now he's on this side, and Pran's right there. And Pran asks him if he has anything else he has to do for the day. He's like, no, no, we're just waiting for Richard here. Richard, could you hurry up with your statement, please? And Pran, yeah, that's his name, the store manager, looks at him and goes, psh, like that. Like, how can you say that to me? You know, like, Pran was just shocked that Captain Douchebag would say something like that. Because this is the one thing that could save my job, and why would you rush me on it? You can see I'm obviously emotionally overwhelmed. Why would you push me even further? Why would you want me to rush into something that's so important, so vital? So, anyway, Heather comes back, she sits down, and I finish my statement. I was going to have her read it, but apparently they're not allowed to see it or read over it or help me critique anything, because they don't want their words to influence what I put in my words. It has to be legitimately just me. So at the bottom, I already signed my name. It was one of the first things I had to do before I wrote my statement. And then after that, this Captain Douchebag asked me to go ahead and print my name on there as well, like right above or below it. So I went ahead and started to print my name. Right when I got to the H, I broke down. I couldn't stand it. I just broke down crying. I couldn't. It was so overwhelming. Really. Extremely overwhelming. So it took me a little like maybe a minute to like just pull myself together. Of course, just like before, whenever I break down, as I would just throw my hands over my eyes and just let it all out. But it seems like, because I wasn't watching, but it seems like I think Fran, my manager, the store manager, went ahead and got tissues, gave it to Heather, and then Heather went ahead and gave it to me. I know Captain Douchebag wasn't about to do that, which is kind of nice, because at least he showed some sympathy for me. So, anyway, I didn't finish writing the rest of my name on there. He just took it as is. And then he went ahead and read what I wrote out loud. And I liked it how he's paused because it seemed like, oh wow, this is an actual possibility of what might have happened. And so after that, he goes ahead and said, so you're gonna get 5 day. He's like, I want you back here at 12:30 on Sunday. He's like, okay, let's get up, let's go. And so I get up slowly, and Heather follows with me, and then he has me swipe my badge to clock out, and he goes ahead and asks for my badge. He actually has to take it. But I want to hold on to this, which is the back part of our badge. Why? Well, for memories. You're like, well, what's so special about it? Well, when he looked, he smiled. He's like, sure, you can hold on to that. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And he's like, then go. So this is what's on my badge. Yeah, the GRC 227 is here for you. This was back in the day when I was still part of customer relations, answering the phones and all that. We always had to make a lot of these types of labels. So Eddie was in charge of it, the same guy who I had lunch with. And for him, I always go to watch him mix. Wherever he DJs, I try to go ahead and watch. And he went ahead and put his DJ name on there. And for fun, he went ahead and wrote mine on there. And, well, yeah, so that's one thing I definitely won't forget. Anyway, so right when I was about to leave, Heather looks at me and she says that she went and spoke with LP and they checked the cameras on that transaction and it actually shows the customer reaching over and pulling back the 100 when I was certifying someone. The person right next to me when I was certifying for 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 or 5 seconds, turning back, the 100 is gone. The thing is, I only took the 100. So I had to still scan the credit card, type in the remaining balance, and I had to take the GC as well after they sign it. So when you have to go through all that, and then you have to certify right in between, it throws you off to the point where you don't recall that 100. It just slips your mind. You know, it's like when cashiers forget to give you change, you don't notice. You know change is coming back, but for some reason you don't notice. And most of the time, you forget that because you have other things. You have your product in your hands. You're ready to go. Once you go home, they're like, forgot my change. It doesn't matter if it's $20 or $40. You forget change, and we forget to give it to you. It works the same way, sadly. So anyway, I came back home. I told basically everyone one at a time because that's the way they came back from work anyway. But it was still quite difficult because I know a 5 day means that you're fired. It means that you're gone. You're not coming back. So, yeah. Tuesday was kind of difficult. And then later on during that week, I was feeling better. And I actually, I forgot. It didn't dawn on me until it was only like 2 or 3 days away that Sunday is September 11th. What a wonderful day to get terminated on. But yeah, so they loved that I woke up early because I wanted to watch the ceremony. It's just something that I felt I had to do because I see how many people it affects, and for I don't know, it just seemed like something I had to do. I had to try to get rid of that sorrow, that sadness that takes place. Because whenever they show footage of that, whenever you see people emotionally overwhelmed from it, I get very, very emotional, as if something like that happened to someone I knew, which it didn't, but I still feel it. So yeah, it was kind of nice. And then I got ready, and I had to get ready in dress code, which is kind of weird because you know they're not going to take you back, but you still have to dress like you're working there. So I get there kind of early. I'm supposed to be at 12:30. I get there around 12:10. Captain Douchebag's there, takes me into the store manager's office, and then he sits down right where the assistant store manager would be. He's on that side. And he goes, "Okay, Richard, go ahead, have a seat." So I sit down, and he goes, "Well, Richard, we decided to let you go. Here's your final check, and here's your unemployment booklet." I'm like, well, that's great. It's me just thinking inside. I had other questions about for him, like benefits, you know, health, dental, those little things that we pay for every single week out of our check. Yeah, those little things that matter to me. And it turns out that, well, all that ends the day you get terminated. So, mm, I also asked him if I could say goodbye to my friends because I've been there for almost 4 years. And the funny thing is, the week after that is my 4th year anniversary. How wonderful. So he actually said I could say bye to everyone. So I went ahead and started with all of the departments, and I finished with customer service being last because I knew them more closely than most of the other people. It actually took me about 2 hours and a half to say goodbye to everyone, but it wasn't as difficult as Tuesday. Sunday was just a bit more. It wasn't as sad, it was just difficult because no one knew. That's the funny thing. So some people from cashiers knew I was short, but no one knew that I was terminated. Not really. Probably some people from cashiers, and that's about it, because they heard, oh, he got 5 days. That's it. But when I tell people, and they're like, wait, what? What? No, really? Why? Everyone kept saying that. Why? Well, because I'm your, like, model citizen for that store. I do everything by the book. I try not to make any mistakes at all. If you're a new person, they would say follow his lead. That's me. So yeah, um, just to sum it all up, I don't work at Fry's anymore. I went ahead and I applied for unemployment, and so here I am. And yeah, I do kind of find it funny that I have been blogging in the past about how much I don't like working there and how stressful it is and frustrated it can be and all the invarities and all that. But hey, I got my wish. But it's kind of different aside from GameStop because here I was miserable and I wanted to leave, and something legitimately happened to me that was technically my fault. It was, and I'm okay with that. You know, and each morning I wake up with so much dread or just not wanting to go to work because of just the way it was. And now, since I don't work, it's actually a little more peaceful. I feel better, which is odd to say, because now I'm part of that huge chunk of percentage of people who are unemployed, but people say that I'm better off. Everyone who has ever fired from Fry's or who has ever quit goes on to so many more better things. Like no one gets fired and goes to like a small mediocre job. No, they go to great things. So I'm kind of happy. I'm looking forward to that, but I don't know what the heck that's going to be. I don't. because there's so many other things that are holding me back. There's voice acting, then the class for this semester got canceled, and then the semester after that got canceled, so I have to wait a year, basically 1 year from maybe a couple weeks ago, to sign up for one class. Yeah, I'm gonna stay and play for that long? I don't think so. I'm not gonna do retail. We already know how that worked out with GameStop. Fries is just about the same. So what do you do? I don't know, but I guess I'll have a lot of time to figure it out. And it looks like I'm gonna have a lot more time to blog as well. Uh, for those who work at Fry's and who are watching, uh, Cynthia, George, and Sandra, um, it was really nice working with you guys. But something tells me we're gonna keep in touch, definitely. But yeah, I guess that's gonna be it for now. And who knows? Maybe I'll make another blog tomorrow. In the meantime, I will talk to you guys later. Take care.